Gang violence is on the rise in Seattle and across the state. In the last year, there has been a string of shootings and murders claiming more than a dozen lives. There are more gangs than ever in our region, becoming more sophisticated and recruiting younger kids to join their ranks. This week, we're devoting much of our show to this issue. Coming up, a look at how one central Washington town is dealing with an overwhelming gang problem. And we'll talk with Seattle Police Chief Gil Kurlikowski and others working with gangs about ending the cycle of kids killing kids. We begin with recent gang problems in Seattle and King County. Here's senior producer Ethan Morris.
You see signs of them on almost any street corner in Seattle neighborhoods like South Park and White Center. Graffiti, the hallmark of street gangs.
They're not going away. They've always been here since the beginning of time.
But lately, gang violence in Seattle and King County has risen to an alarming level. 15 people killed in the last year. Since the start of 2008, a half-dozen teenagers murdered. Like 17-year-old Alan Joplin, shot at a party of high school students. 14-year-old Deshae Morrison, a Cleveland high school freshman, found shot and killed in the Rainier Valley. And last month, 16-year-old Pierre Lapointe, gunned down while walking on Rainier Avenue.
And we're talking about kids 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, carrying guns, killing other kids of the same age group.
Gabe Morales is a gang specialist and founder of Gang Prevention Services. We spoke with him in Seattle's South Park neighborhood. Morales says the problem is much bigger than just Crips and Bloods.
Well, for instance, right here we see Vatos Locos 13. That's the Sureño gang. We got Barrio Locals, Southside Locals, United Latinos, Black Gangster Disciples, Bloods, Pirus, Crips, Hoovers. There's Asian gangs, Pacific Islander gangs, Samoan gangs. There are white gangs. Surprisingly, a lot of people forget about the white supremacists.
The sudden string of violence prompted a report earlier this year by the Seattle Human Services Department. Among the findings, gang and youth violence in King County has increased in the last 2 years. Guns, including automatic weapons, are readily available, even to teenagers. Gang membership is becoming multi-generational, with children of former gang members joining up. And middle school children are at high risk for gang behavior. There are between 85 and 200 gangs in King County, according to the report. Gabe Morales says most of the crime and violence can be traced back to about a dozen gangs, very active and very sophisticated.
I get asked that all the time. Gabe, how do we solve the gang problem? There's no gang problem, there's gang problems, plural, so it takes multiple solutions.
And some of those solutions are starting to come. This summer, the Seattle City Council proposed a 12-point initiative for reducing street crime that includes returning uniformed police officers to some high schools and middle schools. The Seattle Urban League followed suit with Project Interruption, a program with Harborview Medical Center to provide counseling to families affected by violence. And earlier this month, Seattle Mayor Greg Nichols unveiled a $9 million youth violence initiative. Among other things, the plan would help at-risk kids stay in school, help young criminal offenders re-enter society, add police officers in middle schools, and establish youth centers, giving kids a safe place to stay out of trouble. Gabe Morales says it's a good start.
We got to reach them by middle school, but high school's too late. We can't continue going down this path. We can't build enough jails, enough prisons.
King 5 News with Lori Matsukawa, Dennis Bounds, Jeff Renner, First Alert Weather, and Paul Sylvie, Sports. Number 1 in Western Washington, King 5 News at 11.
Concerned over recent gang shootings and murders, the Seattle Police Department has doubled its gang unit.
King 5 investigator Linda Byron spent 2 weekends riding with detectives to find out what it's really like on the street and how the gang turf is changing.
This is South End, this is Crip territory.
You can check on that disturbance at the group of 12 subjects.
It's a quiet July weekend in Seattle, then gunshots.
Here is
unconscious male bleeding from the head.
The shooting unfolds in the Central District, where gang rivalries run deep.
Send me another unit and send me a medic unit.
The female victim will survive, and it seems police will wrap this up quickly.
Right there, 13.
David 11.
They stop a carload of people with a man matching the description of the shooter.
We have the suspect, weapon recovered.
Police say he's a known gang member with a criminal history. But he will later be cleared of the shooting, arrested on another felony. But police say with gang violence escalating, they're seeing more episodes like this in public places.
Well, that's a pretty scary scenario. I mean, it's just that incident where there were numerous people on the street, so I think more than one shot was fired. That means bullets are going somewhere, and that always puts people at risk.
And they're just tagging up this house, this little area that belongs to them.
With as many as 200 gangs now operating in King County, police say they have to do more than just respond to shootings. SPD doubled its gang unit this year and sends teams into gang-entrenched neighborhoods before the 911 call comes in.
We drive by in the park full of young men that might have been planning something, and oh, maybe not tonight, we shouldn't do it tonight. There goes Cobain and Bobby. There goes the G unit.
It might surprise you where the G unit is showing up.
A lesser-known role for these gang detectives is working the streets when the clubs let out. It's in places like Pioneer Square, where rival gangs sometimes cross paths with violent consequences.
How much time we got till park close? About 45 hour.
By simply seeing and being seen, the detectives hope to calm potential conflicts.
So we're a deterrent because we're a presence, and we're proactive because we're here in case something happens.
The gang unit is even showing up at family-friendly events like the Bite of Seattle.
West Side Mafia, how you doing? What's up, man? How you doing? How's life treating you?
Detectives Miko Santiago and Don Waters stand out even in the crowds at Seattle Center.
And this is where rivals might want to meet up with each other in a neutral area, and then they start getting into fights and stuff out here.
There are no fights this year, but when the center clears out, these detectives don't clock out.
Come on, partner. 895. We're at 3rd Bell with 3 under control.
Just blocks away in Belltown, they arrest a teen on a warrant and connect with a longtime gang member named Praise from the Rainier Valley.
You was with a bunch of guys at the Bite tonight.
It's not the first time they've met.
He's a gang member out of the south end of Seattle, runs with a group called Down with the Crew.
It's a careful relationship built over years.
Officer Santiago, I respect him. He's never gave me a bum rap.
To us, Praise defends the gang lifestyle.
Every day I put my life on the line. They put their life on the line for me every single day.
42 shots to the south.
Despite its high stakes.
We all gotta go. We don't die of old age. We don't expect old age or emphysema and bronchitis. We know what the risks are. We know.
And you're okay with that?
Why not?
It's not okay with the gang detectives, who say their ultimate goal isn't another arrest, but convincing a gang member to get out.
You can't give up on them. You still talk to them and say, hey, you know, why?
In Seattle, Linda Byron, King 5 News.
The gang problem is not just a big city problem. On the same night we followed the shooting in Seattle Central area, there was a deadly shooting in Kent and a retaliation shooting in Renton. Police are working on a statewide database of suspected gang members.